Okay, so the G Pro X Superlight has been the ultimate esports gaming mouse for years. But we may actually finally have a mouse that beats it in all aspects, and that is the Razer Viper V3 Pro. Let's take a look at all the features of the new Viper and see how it matches up against the GPX. The mouse buttons and the click feel is significantly better on the Viper V3 Pro. They do have some crispiness and tactility to them, but they are still easy to actuate and light, so easy to spam. Whereas the Superlight 2 has a heavier feeling and the actuation in itself is way too tactile for my liking. The side buttons are not really even a competition, as the Viper V3 Pro has very good feeling side buttons. And the scroll wheel also feels very nice, as it is quite smooth but still has those tactile steps. So in terms of all the buttons, it's quite an easy win for the Viper V3 Pro. Comparing the mouse feet is not going to be hard, as the Superlight quite famously has very bad stock feet, and the Viper V3 Pro stock feet are actually some of the better stock feet that I've tried. Coating or the surface finish of the mouse can be very subjective, but for my hands, the Viper V3 Pro coating is actually not the greatest. Quite a few reviewers seem to like it a lot, but for me it's not very grippy and much less grippy than the Superlight 2 coating, for example. I've heard that the white version may actually have a better coating, but that's not confirmed for now. One thing to note is that even though I prefer the Superlight 2 coating, my batch 1 white version does have some discoloration on it and looks quite horrific, but the feel of the coating has not changed. But yeah, so the point goes to Superlight 2 in terms of coating. Looking at the overall performance for these mice, they are both very good, but of course the Viper can do 8000 Hz and it has the most advanced sensor on the market at the moment. In terms of engineering, the difference can be thought of as quite large, but when we consider what you actually can feel in-game, there is pretty much no difference whatsoever with these two mice. Now, configuring the mouse with its sensor settings and such is much better on the Superlight 2 with the onboard memory manager. You will not have to install Synapse or G-Hub, which are both quite bad. Let's talk about the shape and focus on the Viper V3 Pro, which is quite unlike the Viper V2 Pro. The hump is more towards the back of the mouse, which can make it feel longer than the Viper V2 Pro. There is also less curvature on the sides, which can make the mouse more versatile. For my 19x10cm hands, the mouse does feel quite large for a claw, and I really can't comfortably relaxed claw the mouse. But for more of an aggressive claw where I curl my fingers, the mouse does feel comfortable. Not quite as comfortable as the Superlight though, and I do feel that the GPX shape does provide more options for most people. So this would pretty much be the overall situation or the overall scores with these two mice, if you can understand my handwriting. Both are very strong options, but if we take a very objective look and maybe even ignore the shape, then the Razer Viper V3 Pro is the winner. But when we take the shape and people's different hand sizes into considerations, it's not quite that simple. For me, the GPX just has a more versatile shape, and although I did get used to the Razer Viper V3 Pro, it does force me into a more of an aggressive claw, which may not feel quite as comfortable for me. I always adjust my grip for the mouse that I'm testing and playing with, but with the Viper V3 Pro I just did not get as comfortable as I can with some other mice. But yeah, especially for you guys that have large hands and actually even enjoy the Viper V3 Pro coding, it's a very top tier mouse. If I were to rate these mice, and of course this would be only according to my own preferences, this would be it. And as you can see, I do rate the OG Superlight higher than the Superlight 2. The clicks are just something that I kinda hate. One thing that's impacting these results negatively is going to be the price, especially for the Viper V3 Pro. The competition is just very fierce at the moment, and pretty much all mice perform the same in-game, so you do not notice any kind of difference there. One important thing to note is that even though I rate the Superlight higher and I enjoy it more myself, I still perform very well in-game with the Viper V3 Pro. As the mouse is quite large, it does provide a good amount of stability, which I usually apply to a mouse by having a more relaxed kind of claw, but with the Viper V3 Pro and its size and the fact that it's quite wide, I do get the same stability with an aggressive claw, but I still lack some mobility. That's something that I will get adjusted to with time, but the coding is just not something that makes me want to use the mouse for a longer period of time. Not only should the mouse feel grippy for me whether my hands are slightly sweaty or dry, but it also should feel premium and nice in hand. And so the GPX is still the ultimate esports gaming mouse for me, and so it is even for pro players, as we can see when we look at pro settings and how much it's used. I'm happy to see that the Viper V3 Pro has been taken into use by quite a few people. Some of these guys are players that switch mice all the time, but for example Rain from FaZe Clan is somebody that was using Superlight for years, maybe even. So I suspect that he might not be switching back and is sticking with the Viper V3 Pro. And that's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video and see you in the next one.